Welcome back to the program. Glad you're with us. I'm going to do a little bit of adjusting. There we go. There we go. Gotta get all the mics, everything lined up. Sometimes I have my stuff together, and sometimes, I don't have enough caffeine. Please join me in welcoming my very good friend, Stacey Violenus from the Sister Basilia Center. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And so I know that so Bart, who is does a lot of your marketing stuff, had messaged me, and he said to me, "We want to come in and we want to talk about the Center for the Sister Basilia Guided Center for Guided Living.
Yeah.
What is this? I'm confused.
Okay, so Sister Basilia.
Yeah,
First, let's start off with the White and Yellow Cross. The
sure.
White and Yellow Cross have different care products, whereas Sister Basilia Center is one of the care products.
Mm-hmm,
Sister Basilia consists of three departments:
mm-hmm,
the residence, where they live; the
mm-hmm.
day activity center, where they go to school;
Right.
and the guided living. Now, guided living is where persons that are differently abled live semi independently. So these are more of a mature
Mm-hmm.
type of persons that are able to function. They can do their own ADL, majority
What's
of them
ADL for our?
daily activity.
Okay.
Daily activities such as showering, doing their grocery, cooking,
Mm-hmm,
and so forth. So things that we take for granted,
mm-hmm.
that we quote unquote normal persons would take for granted, these are things that over time they learn and this stays with them. So this is what guided living do. We assist persons that live semi-independently
Mm-hmm.
with guidance. This is how guided living
So,
existed.
so, and once you teach them something,
Hmm.
right, or show them how to do something, chances are they're at the skill level where they can once they know how to do something, they can continue to do it.
Yes, so everything for them, for persons that have challenges, everything for them have to be repetitive. So for instance, you're teaching someone how to plait a braid, for
Mm,
instance. So every day, these are skills that you practice on:
mm,
plaiting a braid, plaiting a braid, plaiting a braid, and for whatever reason, over time, it stays. And this is what they continue to do in their daily lives.
well, and I
So,
think
for instance, catching the bus
right,
to go to work. Now, you and I would be able to just go out, stand on the road, and we stop a bus. But
right,
for them, this is something that have to be taught,
got
and
it.
we continue practicing, practicing, practicing until eventually they're able to do such.
So I think that I don't know. I think maybe the best way to kind of bring this to the wider audience is that everyone learns differently,
Correct.
and the residents here learn differently
Yeah.
than you and I,
Hmm.
and so differently abled, if you will, and that's an okay thing, right? It takes it's what makes the world go round. We're all different.
Exactly.
We're all different.
Exactly.
I at, um, Bart had sent me, a friend of mine had sent me a new
Hmm.
video promoting the Center for Guided Living, and it I really, as I started to watch it, I started to fill up a little bit. I'm a big sissy, I know, um, but it really brought me back to my childhood. I have a first cousin,
Hmm.
who back this is now back in the '70s, and I was a little kid, right? I didn't understand why he was different or why he learned differently
Hmm.
than the rest of us. And so we've come when I look back at where we were and where we are today around the world, I think that's what brought a tear to my eye.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
I and it's really something I hadn't thought about in years until you really sparked the emotion this morning.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. And over time, we have learned from, we are doing comparisons from back in the 60s to
Mm,
now, how we have grown. We have grown in the terms of how we now relate to persons that are differently able, our language, our dialects that we use or should be using. That is, we have different technology that we can use in order to aid persons that are differently able comparing to back then. Because a lot of times, comparing to then and now, a lot of research went into it, and I'm sure people were not as open as you were. You were not sure why he learned differently.
Mhm.
And I'm also sure that children at the time, like yourself, they looked at this individual and they looked at this person with pity.
Well, I'll be honest. It was almost a little. I was scared as a little kid.
Yeah.
I found it. I didn't understand. It was scary as
Mm-hmm.
a young child,
Mm-hmm.
and w- and then I remember um, we when I was in high school. So this goes back to the early '80s, and we had a. I went to a boys' high school in Fairfield, Connecticut,
Mm-hmm.
which is adjacent to Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is kind of the inner city and not. You have lots of, how do you say? Yeah, we had many folks that were differently abled,
Mm-hmm.
but also economically challenged
Okay.
all at the same time. And when you put those two things together, then it even gets harder, right?
Yes.
Right. And so we had a big field day where each member, it was my first year of high school, so when am I, 13, 14 years old, right? They had paired us with someone our own age
Mm.
from that was differently abled from the inner city,
Yeah.
and our job was to spend actually based to make friends,
Mm-hmm.
and it was it was an eye-opening experience, because now that I think about it, I think about what it was with my cousin way back when in the early '70s when I was a little kid, to where we were 10 years later,
Mm-hmm.
night and day, and
Mm-hmm.
now here we go. There is a 40-ish years later, completely night and day,
Yeah.
completely night and day, and I hope it only gets better.
Well, we're hoping. That is why awareness is very important in moving forward,
Mm.
because even now where we are seeing that we have a lot more research that has gone into persons that are different. Studies are still going on, and more new diagnoses are coming up. But we also know in the community of St. Martin, the way that persons that are different are treated is something that we also need to bring awareness to. And for this year, apart from the video, it so happened that July 13th is being celebrated as Disability Awareness Month.
So but that's next.
Yeah, and
That's next
for
week.
the theme for
That's
this year, which is
this Sunday,
this
right?
Sunday,
Yeah.
yeah, the theme is inclusive language. And I think this is so fitting because we are no longer using handicap and we should no longer be using retard,
Yep. Yeah, it's
right?
funny. It's funny because, like, when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
that's we had I remember in the public school. I was kindergarten to like fourth grade, right? There was a one class where everyone who was, as they said back then, was either retarded or
Yeah.
handicapped or physically challenged in
Yes.
some way were in this one
Mm-hmm.
class. And it just it back then it felt odd to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started to change slowly.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right. Words matter.
Words matter.
Words
Yes,
matter.
definitely.
And it's okay to recognize that someone is different than you,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no reason to um, use language that might
Hurt person's feelings.
right that would
Yeah.
be offensive,
Yeah.
right? There's no reason to do that. And you know the old school words like retarded or disabled, I don't think they were put together with the intention to make people feel bad. And I really don't believe that I guess I kind of come out of the school of thought, people are generally, human beings we try to be good. We try and be
We
nice.
we try our
Yeah.
utmost
Yeah.
sometimes,
We don't
yes.
we don't always succeed, and that's human nature. But I think to a certain degree, um, that words matter, and the tone in which you use your
Exactly.
words
Exactly.
matter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what is the what when you said when you
Inclusive language.
yeah, so further elaborate for
Okay.
me.
So What is inclusive language? Inclusive language for persons that are differently able is words that we say that would cause persons to feel less than. And the idea is not for persons that are different to feel less than. We have to treat them in a way that is acceptable to them. So we have to not only show empathy, I think we need to show compassion for persons that are different. Now, we are accustomed of saying, and most of the times we hear the word retard, we're hearing the word autism a lot, and dyslexia and learning disability, intellectual disability. And those are some of the things that we use to associate persons that are different. Now, a lot of times in our schools, we hear about the word bullying, but in our schools as well, we have persons that have intellectual disability that are probably not as yet diagnosed the correct way. And therefore, we are trying to educate our community in St. Martin that when you're talking about persons that are different, it would be nice that we use, instead of we saying the word handicap, we're saying differently abled now. These are some of the languages that is acceptable. And they themselves will tell you once they're verbal that I don't want to be called a handicap. It's not a nice word. And we have to respect them because can you imagine that we think that this world is our space, but they're also taking up space. Like they're here,
Well,
they're not going anywhere.
It's their world too.
It's their world too. And they should be treated as such. And this is why it is very important that when we're advocating for persons that are differently abled, it is very important that our language also measures up to them.
I look at it like this, and I want this to come out right. So
Yes.
so bear with me. Respect
Mhm.
is not something that you get because you're sitting in the chair breathing.
Mhm.
Respect is something that you earn
Correct.
based on your actions.
Correct.
And the same thing is true for those people that are differently abled.
Mhm.
And as a matter of fact, and I don't even like the word "those people" because to me that's almost
Exactly.
it came out. I said I warned you I was going to come out wrong, right? Because it's just people, right? All of us,
Mhm.
we are all entitled. We all earn respect,
Mhm.
regardless of one's social status, the color of their skin, your preferences, your physical abilities,
Religion.
or religion or
Yes.
lack thereof, right?
Exactly.
And it's called just being kind. Don't be an ass, right?
Mhm.
I'm sorry. That
Yeah,
to me
that's
that
pretty much that sums it up in a nutshell.
don't be an
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the golden rule.
It is the golden rule.
Treat everyone the way you yourself would like to be treated, and then we win.
It's easier said than done, though. Yeah, it's really
horrible.
easier said than done.
Yeah, incredibly
And
different.
we see it every day.
I can imagine. I mean, I feel it every day too. You know, so I am St. Martin. I choose to be in St. Martin. St.
Mhm.
Martin is my St. Martin is the one place that has been in my life longer than anywhere else or anything else or any other place. So I choose to be here. I'm not from here. I'm
Mhm.
born to be here. And often, right, I will get, oh, you're not from here.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. I'm not from here, but I choose to be here,
Mhm.
right? and I do my very best to contribute to the community and make a difference. So don't differentiate me because I'm not from here. Well,
Okay, you weren't born here.
I wasn't born here.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm more from here than anywhere else. And I think the same thing goes, with those that think and learn differently, right?
Yeah.
Treat everyone the way you yourself would like to be treated,
Mhm.
and then we all win.
That is kind of hard for some persons because a lot of times we associate persons that are differently able with a physical challenge.
Right.
And not everyone that has a physical challenge are differently abled.
Right.
So some persons also have an intellectual disability and not so much of a physical.
So you don't even see it.
So you don't see it, right?
Yeah.
Until you have a conversation with this person and then you would
Oh.
realize that the conversation is not going how you would expect the conversation to go.
I have an
Yeah.
adopted niece of mine, and I've known her since she was born, and um, she has made such incredible challenges, um, all because she is surrounded by um, loving parents
Mm-hmm.
and a loving family and a community that has understood that she learns differently.
Correct.
And today, you would not even know if you sat down and had a
Mm-hmm.
conversation with her
Mm-hmm.
that she learns differently.
Yeah. And
And
that is important.
you know,
Having a support system is important for persons that learn differently. But not everybody have
everybody-
that.
yeah,
Not
and-
everybody
but
have that.
and I think that's where we need to have the services similar to what you're offering at the
Exactly.
Sister Basilia
Yes.
Center, that really do kind of pick up and try and fill those holes.
As much as we can.
Yeah. How many residents do you have at the Sister
At
Basilia?
Guided Living particularly, we have 12 clients,
Mhm.
and 12 is our max at present because we do not have our own place for them to live, which the ideal would have been that they would have their own housing and then they're able to be visited. However, we do with what we have at
Okay.
this time.
So what are the living for someone who lives there in guided living? What are
So
their
we
living?
have single bedrooms and then we have double bedrooms. So we have girls and boys,
Mm.
and the girls are in their single rooms and the boys would share their two bedrooms. So they
Mhm.
have their own bedrooms, living area, bathroom, kitchen, and so forth.
So
and as
like
I mentioned that they
like a little apartment.
yes,
Okay.
apartments, and they do have jobs, not full-time jobs, but the idea is for them to be out in the community because we advocate inclusivity. That's what we want our clients to be a part of the community, to be in the working force, to earn their own monies, and to be as normal as what we consider normal to be.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
I am. What are some of the jobs that you say they have that your
So we
resident?
have one that works in the laundry department at the St. Martin Medical Center. We have one that works at the cake house.
Oh.
Yeah, we have one at the three at St. Martin's home, which is in the laundry,
Mm.
in the kitchen, and the maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. And I
Mhm.
bet you they love their jobs.
Oh, they love their job. They love interacting with people. They love telling people where they live, what they do. And persons that are differently able, they're so easy to love because they give you no other choice. They
Yeah.
love people. They will come, they would have conversations with you. And yeah,
What
they
maybe we
want to be a part of this community.
think they would like to come. If anybody would like to come to visit the radio,
They would love to come to visit the radio.
well, let's figure out how we do that.
Okay.
I
That's good.
would be honored. I would be honored.
We
Uh,
also have two that takes part in Special Olympics.
oh,
Yeah.
I think I saw this in a
Yeah.
video. Swimming.
Swimming.
Yeah.
We have swimming, we have bocce, we have speed walking. Yes.
Wow. And matter of fact, I know for the St. Martin Heineken Regatta
Mm-hmm.
last year there was a whole sailability
Yes.
program. Do you have
Uh-huh.
any? Do you have anybody in Sister Basilia Center that is participating in the sailing program?
Not in the sailing
Yeah.
program at this time, no.
Yeah,
No.
but that was just incredible to
Yes.
watch that happen, and I'd love to see more of it happen.
Yeah.
So let's figure out when we can make a visit.
Okay. Sounds
And
good.
on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I get coffee and croissants from the Sucrier next door. If anybody is a coffee and croissant person, but I would love to. I would really love. Doesn't even have to be when I'm on the air. We could just pick a day when everybody's off or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
come one Saturday morning. If that,
Oh, perfect.
I'm happy
Perfect.
to come. We'll
Yeah.
plan it, and I would love to show them the radio and make some new friends. Quite frankly.
That's good. That's
Deal.
good. They would enjoy that.
Well, I would think I would
Yeah.
enjoy it too. I would enjoy it too. So listen, I also know we have a new video
Mhm.
that's out.
Yes.
that is out on where? Where do people find it? We'll tell them all about the Center
Okay,
for
so
God.
the video is out. It's on all our the White and Yellow Cross platforms, such as the website. It's on their Facebook page, where you will it have different care products. So each department has a different care product, and the newest one is Guided Living, which is the one that I am a part of. But the residents have theirs, the day activity, the district. So different care products of the White and Yellow Cross, they're each coming out with their video. However, this time, Guided Living video is finally out,
Brilliant.
where persons can see all the clients that we have, what they're doing, what they are able to do. And when you see them, don't be afraid to approach them, have a conversation, ask them questions. We have two that are nonverbal,
Hmm.
but the others, they are very vocal.
When you say nonverbal, so they don't
They
speak.
don't speak. They don't speak.
Is
They
it
don't hear.
okay?
Yes.
But they do understand.
They do understand. They read lips.
Okay.
Yes. So they would try their best to communicate in their way,
Okay.
but the others, they are bubbly. They're people person.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I can't. Now I'm excited. I can't
Right.
wait. I can't wait. We'll make all of this happen. Stacey Violenus, you are the unit leader for the Sister Basilia Center Guide Living Center. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to share the video on Island 92 on
Yes,
Facebook too,
please.
as well as this whole conversation will be out there
Okay.
too.
Sounds good.
Always a pleasure. Nice
Thank
to
you so
nice to
much.
meet you. Thank you for coming. We'll do it again. We'll do it again. It is what time? I'm late. 9:41 as we work our way through the morning together. Stay with us. We're going to find Jeff Berger from everythingstmartin.com. It's on the way in just a bit.